Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Ohio.
A 1-0 game through 6 innings turned into a wild one late, but it was the Blue Jays who did just enough to get the win and square the match. Today, the series is up for grabs, and the Indians get their second look at the game's lone knuckleballer, R.A. Dickey. Danny Salazar makes his Major League debut for the Tribe next on Sports Time Ohio. From Progressive Field in downtown Cleveland, the rain is finally gone. A beautiful day for baseball as the Indians and the Blue Jays wrap up their 3-game series. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Interesting matchup today for the Tribe. Danny Salazar will make his Major League debut, highly touted young prospect, and the knuckleballer R.A. Dickey will counter for Toronto as the Indians try to win the series here today.
Well, the veteran knuckleballer, he was a Cy Young Award winner last year in the National League. He's having a tough season this year. 8-9, under 500, a 4.77 ERA. He took the loss in his very first start this year against the Indians, giving up 5 hits. But this is a guy that can be tough on any lineup. Danny Salazar now making his Major League debut, the third Indian to do that in the last couple of years. Zach McAllister, Alex White did that, and now Salazar gets an opportunity. Now, talk about the knuckleballer Dickey. He throws it harder than most. It's a tough pitch to hit. It's a tough pitch to catch. So you don't know what you're going to get, but if you're going to face a knuckleballer, you want to see that ball up in the strike zone. You have a better opportunity to hit it. If it's down low in the zone, it's going to be for a ball.
As you say, you don't know what you're going to get, and that holds true for John Gibbons in Toronto because 7 times this year, Dickey has allowed 6 runs or more in a ball game. He seems to be all or nothing this year for the Jays. As for Danny Salazar, he's already struck out 100 minor league batters this year in 76 innings of work. He'll get his first crack at the big leagues coming up next right here on Sports Time Ohio. Welcome into the rubber match in this series with the Indians and the Blue Jays. Tribe has won 5, lost 2 in the deciding game of a 3-game series on the year. Jose Reyes will lead it off for Toronto. And Danny Salazar in his major league debut delivers a first pitch strike. Up and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Danny Salazar just celebrated his birthday as Reyes fouls this pitch out of play. 23 years old. Signed with the Indians at the tender age of 16. When he was down in the Dominican Republic. Up and away with that pitch, 2-2. Tribe first saw him when he was 15 years old. And then they inked him when he turned 16. Swing and a miss. He strikes out Jose Reyes. And right there, right out of the gate, you see why the Indians like him so much. He's got a good arm, but he is a pitcher who works on trying to attack hitters.
Well, look at that. That bottom falls out right there. It looked like a slider or the curveball, whatever you want to call it. But it was a very good pitch. He started in Double-A, then went to Triple-A, and that is combined numbers right there, 5 and 5 at 308. He will sit between 93 and 96 with his fastball, with a changeup and that slider.
There's a fastball in there for a strike.
Whatever you want to call it.
Jose Bautista is someone that Salazar admires greatly, and he said, I know when I'm facing Bautista, I've got to keep the ball down.
That's a pretty good philosophy for most hitters.
That pitch, a fastball belt high, but 97 miles an hour. And he's just trying to get loose here in the early going. 1-2 the count. Another off-speed pitch, beats it into the ground. Third baseman Lonnie Chisenhall on the move, throws it over, and Reynolds makes the grab for out number 2. Jose Reyes, Jose Bautista, the top 2 in this Blue Jay lineup. Then you've got Edwin Encarnacion, followed by Adam Lynn, Colby Rasmus, and Myceres Torres. Rajay Davis back in the lineup today. Josh Thole catching, and Munenori Kawasaki batting ninth. Fastball fouled back out of play. It's not that Salazar doesn't have great confidence and high hopes, but when they told him he was getting the call up to the big leagues, he said he was in complete shock. He is very excited for this opportunity.
I was going to say shocked, but thrilled to death.
Hit on the ground to short as Dribble Cabrera on the big hop, flips it over. And how do you like that? A 1-2-3 first inning for Danny Salazar in his major league debut. No score, bottom of the first inning. The Indians starting lineup brought to you by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. Michael Bourne leading it off, followed by Mike Aviles. As Drupal Cabrera hits third, then Michael Brantley, Ryan Rayburn, and Carlos Santana. Mark Reynolds, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Yan Gomes.
R.A. Dickey, the starter for Toronto. He is 8-9 with a 4.77 ERA. This guy now is, in his last few starts, starting to throw that knuckleball a little bit harder. Up in the high 70s, possibly will be at 80 at some point in time.
That floater in there at 72 miles an hour. Bourne lays off. It's low.
He started against the Indians his first game of the year and the first game of the year. He went 6 innings. He had 5 hits and 4 runs. He walked 4, though. And when you're facing a knuckleball, if that ball starts mid-thigh or lower, you take it. Once it starts around belt high or maybe a little higher, that's your opportunity to swing.
Bourne with a ground ball towards second. Kawasaki from the outfield grass makes the play for out number 1.
Let's check the Blue Jays defense this afternoon. It's Davis in left field, Rasmussen center, and Bautista in right. Esteuris at third, Reyes at short, Kawasaki at second, Lind is at first with Tolley behind the plate.
Tony Randazzo will call the balls and strikes. Larry Vanover at first, Brian Gorman, the crew chief, at second, Manny Gonzalez down at third. Here's Mike Aviles. And he takes a strike. What's interesting with R.A. Dickey is the walks don't necessarily equate to bad performance or bad results. He's had a couple of starts, in fact, 4 starts this year. He's walked 4 batters or more. The season high is 5. So in 4 different starts, he's had either 4 walks or 5 walks. And in any of those games, he hasn't given up more than 4 runs. The starts where he's been hammered has been because he's given up a ton of hits. That's when it tells me that the knuckleballer isn't dancing, it's not darting, it's not fooling anybody on those days.
Right. He's given up 19 home runs. 40% of the hits he's given up this year have come extra bases.
Chop foul.
And it's a funny pitch. It's a fickle pitch because when it's on, you know, you're not going to get anything. You could be throwing 6 straight innings where you can't touch it, and then all of a sudden one inning could come and you could have a huge inning. Just a strange pitch. There was a big, slow floater. And that's the time to throw that one because it dances all over the place, the 0-2 pitch. I think the harder one may be easier to control. But look at that one. That was out of your shot. It just floats up there. But it was high.
Out of play as he fights it off. That was a little bit harder, and there's the one you were talking about up to 79. Fouled back.
See, that's the thing he stayed away from last year was the long ball. You know, the big inning, the long ball that he's given up this year. I mean, totally different year when he won the Cy Young. Look at that one. I mean, that just floats in.
Shot foul again. Twice he's given up 3 home runs in a game.
His ERA is 2 runs higher this year than it was last year at this point in time.
Yeah, 6 times he's given up multi-homers in all this year. And 7 out of his 19 starts, 6 runs or more. And in 3 of those 7 starts, double digits in hits allowed.
Well, and he's a guy you leave out there because, you know, he's going to give up hits. He can get out of it. Sometimes you don't. And those are the times you're talking about right now.
Aviles hits one high in the air. Over to the line is Davis. And he can't get to it.
It pushed it out of here.
It's been a 9-pitch at bat, all strikes. Keys to the game, opportunity for Danny Salazar, the youngster making his major league debut. And, of course, the old adage when it comes to facing the knuckleball, Mike Aviles is getting a lot of hacks in here. Count stays 0-2. And he finally strikes him out. 2 down. Our stat of the game brought to you by your Northern Ohio Buick dealers. former Cy Young Award winners, have started 11 games against the Indians this year, and they've gone 4-7. Tribe has beat them up pretty good, a 7.18 ERA. They didn't beat up Dickey, but they did hang a loss on him in Toronto, as that one really slow. 61 miles an hour, and Cabrera watches it float in for a strike.
You know, well, we'll wait. There's 2 outs. I want to talk about this today. When you get a knuckleballer, how many times have you ever seen a knuckleballer be your number one pitcher? Usually you throw him into the rotation, the middle part, 3, 4, or 5, and he's going to log you 200 innings and do everything. You never see him a number one starter.
There aren't too many that have won a Cy Young Award.
Right. I think he might be the only one. But you don't set him up at the start of your rotation and say, this is going to be my number one guy. You put him in the middle and let him go, and he'll give you innings, and you'll have no problem.
2-strike pitch hit deep to right field. Is it fair? Down the line it goes, and it is gone to Souvenir City. Asdrubal Cabrera, with his 7th home run of the year, stakes the Tribe to a 1-0 lead here in the first on a 2-out solo homer, the 20th allowed this year by R.A. Dickey. Right down the line, the only question is, would it stay inside the pole? And it did.
Well, there it is. It's belled high. And we're going to track that today to see where these pitches are hit. He's been upstairs with it so far early in the game, although he got 2 outs in a hurry. But then the long ball, and that's number 20 that he is allowed.
And now Michael Brantley steps in, and Dickey went down as he delivered that pitch.
That's got a little more rotation to it than most of them. That slow motion camera really gives you a pretty good idea how much that ball turns
and moves.
You know, when we show you a slider or something from a normal pitcher, you can see the spin, and it's spinning quite a lot. But when you see that knuckleball, it just seems to float up there.
Brantley bloops one to right. Batista was playing deep, can't get to it. And Brantley gets one off the end of the bat for a 2-out single to keep the inning alive here in the first.
Yeah, he got fooled on that swing, and it went off the end of the bat. I don't think he could have caught it anyway. It's just one of those things. It's a day game, a big swing, and off the end of the bat. And he didn't really get a good jump, but I don't think it would have mattered. It falls in front of him. So 2 2-out hits now for the Tribe.
Ryan Rayburn takes a strike, 0 for 1 in the series. He came on last night and struck out. He was on in a pinch hit appearance against Neil Wagner, the hard-throwing right-hander. Rayburn lines this one down the left field line. That is a fair ball up against the wall. It's played well, and Brantley will have to stop at third. Into second with a 2-out double is Ryan Rayburn, and the Indians now with 3 straight hits in the inning off the knuckleball. That ball took a perfect carom for Davis that otherwise Brantley might have had a chance to score.
How short was that swing from Rayburn? Look at that. I mean, he got it through the zone in a hurry. He waited on it nicely. That was inside. He kept it fair. He didn't hook it. And, you know, on that play there, Davis, only play he had was to go to second base. It was close, but not that close.
Carlos Santana was second and third and 2 down. And a called strike. Santana just 1 out of 6 in the series. Trying to make it a big first inning now. And there's a high fly ball, center field, Rasmus back. And now makes the catch. So the Indians strike first, strand a pair. The solo homer by Asdrubal Cabrera has the Indians in front 1-0. lead it off for Toronto. Pitch outside, ball 1.
Salazar an 11-pitch first inning. He threw 7 that were 95 or higher.
That'll leave in the count of 1 ball, 1 strike. Salazar says, I've been working hard every day waiting for this moment. I'm ready for this. Just going to go out and do my job. And I like what he says. Look, I'm going to throw my pitches. If they hit them, they hit them. I think that's such a great attitude to have, especially for a young pitcher. You see a lot of young guys come up as the 1-2 is delivered, and a swing and a miss by Lynn. Second strikeout for Salazar. And Rick, almost to a fault, young pitchers, they shy away from contact. And they, a couple of balls get hit hard, and they feel like, oh, man, I've got to make a perfect pitch to get these big league hitters out.
I like what he says. Now let's see if he can do it when you get to the mound and they do hit it around. The first time he gets from the stretch, you wait and see. But I like the attitude. I like the thought process. I'm going to throw my pitch. If they hit them, they hit them. That's all you can do. Execute, keep it down. Pitch from in front, and we'll see how easy it is.
Pretty good life on that fastball as he threw it by Erasmus. A little bit outside, as Terry Francona said, you only get one first game. And regardless of how it goes today, he said this isn't going to dictate what kind of a career Danny Salazar is going to have. He said, I want him to go out and enjoy himself, but I'm also anxious to see how he reacts to the moment of his first big league start and facing these hitters.
Yeah, he had Tommy John surgery in 2010, so he's coming back from that. He gets an opportunity. It's a spot start. And, this will take us into the break. And then after the break, you probably will have Zach McAllister back.
That's the hope, yeah.
That's the hope. If everything goes well, McAllister will be back. Salazar is probably going to be on a pitch count today. So, it's a great opportunity for this kid to open some eyes and show him what he can do at this level.
Upstairs with it, 2 balls, 2 strikes. 14 out of 20 have been strikes so far for the Indians' rookie right-hander. Another change of pace, and he's got his 3rd strikeout, and he is doing exactly what we were told he would do, and that is pitch. He's not just a flamethrower, not a guy who's just going to rear back and chuck it up there, but a guy who knows how to attack hitters. With more on Salazar, here's Katie Witham.
Well, the big thing to watch with Salazar today, and Rick, you briefly mentioned it there, is he is on a limited pitch count. They're only going to let him go 85 to 90 innings, but Mickey Callaway, the pitching coach, told me that's actually going to take some pressure off of him. The key for him today to be successful, stick to his strengths, pound the strike zone on the inside corner, and just act like he's pitching to a AAA lineup.
Nice there is Torres. Swing and a miss, and the bat goes flying into the dugout, and it might have clipped one of the trainers down there. Somebody, a member of the team personnel.
Now, I've never seen it go into the dugout like that. Maybe one other time. But, those are the guys that have to run. We did it one game. I don't know if I was working with you or not. We were in Kansas City. And I think someone swung a bat, and it ended up clunking a guy in the head in their dugout.
One pitch. Swing and a miss, and it's Torres, a big, wicked cut. But empty again, 0-2.
Well, I
or
like
1-2,
this.
rather.
I like the combination of his fastball changeup this first time through.
Struck him out. Danny Salazar strikes out the side here in the second. And the rookie right-hander, all kind of impressive here today. Salazar. 2 tremendous innings under his belt in his major league debut here today. For the Tribe now, bottom third of the order in the second inning. Mark Reynolds, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Yan Gomes. Down low, ball 1 to Reynolds. Checked his swing, and he rolls it right back to the mound. 1 away. The injury report brought to you by Elk & Elk. Serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Derek Jeter expected to be back in the lineup today, according to Yankee general manager Brian Cashman. Coming back from left ankle surgery. I guess Travis Hafner was hurt last night or in recent days. And Cashman looked over things and decided now's as good as time as any to activate Derek Jeter. Lonnie Chisenhall 0 for 6 in the series. Hafner suffered a bruise on the top of his left foot when the pitching machine in Yankee Stadium fell down on him.
Boy, that ball took a funny hop there on Lynn. You watch him get over, that ball jumped up and got him in the shoulder. I'm sure it's going to go as a base hit if they see the hop. This was not a friendly hop for him. Watch this. That last time it hits the dirt, and watch it. See that? It jumped up on him in a hurry. But we'll see what. It's an error.
So Hafner was in the batting cage at Yankee Stadium, and the thing went haywire, and it just chucked one down and in and hit him on the foot. So x-rays were negative, and that's what caused Brian Cashman to decide today's the day to activate Derek Jeter from the DL. Yan Gomes looks at a ball down and in. Gomes batting .270 with 6 homers and 20 runs batted in. He has doubled 6 times. He has tripled twice. Gomes was up and down 6 different times last year with these Toronto Blue Jays. His living quarters when he played for Toronto was right at the ballpark. He stayed at the Skydome Hotel. And he said there were times, he said, where I never left the building. Oh. I'd wake up, I'd hang out in my room, I'd look out the window, I'd see guys showing up for batting practice, I'd take the elevator down to the ground floor and walk over to the clubhouse. And then after the game, go right back up to your room.
Sometimes it's not a bad deal, and you don't have to deal with the traffic there.
Swing and a miss. They count 2-1.
Okay, they changed that to a base hit.
So credit Lonnie Chisenhall with the Indians' 4th hit of the game. Slowly chopped towards short. As Torres cuts in front of Reyes and can't come up with it. And now Gomes has an infield single. So a couple of bad breaks for R.A. Dickey here in the inning. And the Indians are taking advantage with their first 2 on.
Yeah, this is a do-or-die play. You either barehand it and make the throw, and an accurate one to get him, or you don't, and he didn't. So back-to-back infield singles, one a bad hop, one a do-or-die play. And it gives Bourne an opportunity now.
Michael Bourne bounced out to second his first time up. Ball 1. Indians already leading 1-0 on a home run by Cabrera in the first. Now Bourne slowly chops one towards second. Kawasaki comes in, flips it to first. And that's out number 2 as Chisenhall and Gomes move up to second and third respectively.
Well, swing for the fences with the new Home Run Derby mobile game from MLB.com. It's available on iPhone and iPad, and you can download free today.
So 4 straight ground balls in the inning. And the Tribe still has a chance to score here as Mike Aviles comes up. Struck out his first time aboard. Popped up, out of play.
He's got that. He's not letting anything pass. He had 7 straight fouls in his last at bat before he swung and missed, and he comes right out of the chute swinging again. He's swinging at everything. He's not going to take one.
0-2 the count.
That's up there, too. Might have been a little too high, but he. Yeah, anytime you're on base, too, against a knuckleballer, you are ready because the catcher, you never know. It can deflect off that glove and ready to advance at any time.
Up high again with it, 2-2. Almost hit him with that one. And from 0-2 to 3-2 on 3 pitches, that none of them were close.
He's trying to throw that hard knuckleball upstairs because he's swinging at everything up there. But, I mean, 77 and 78, that one over his head. It's not like a big fastball, but you still got to get out of the way of it.
And now the 3-2 pitch. Pop back into the seats. Watch this swing by Aviles.
He one-legged it like Adrian Beltre. Actually, that front foot came out. He was on his heel on that front foot. It slipped out on him.
41 pitches for Dickey so far in the game. Second and third, 2 down, the 3-2. And Aviles takes ball 4. The bases are loaded. Well, Asdrubal Cabrera has had R.A. Dickey's number, our AT&T U-verse Rewind opening day. He went deep. And here again today in the first inning. Almost an instant replay. But back on opening day, it was almost like Dickey couldn't believe that ball went out. He was surprised that Cabrera's ball left the yard.
I remember that. He didn't think so. Well, little does he know that the ball flies out of that place.
Inside ball 1.
I think he knows it now.
Well, out of his 20 home runs, 14 of them, I think, have been hit at the Rogers, or he's given up 14 of them at home in Toronto. A called strike to Cabrera, 1-1 the count. The Indians trying to open up a big lead. They left second and third in the first inning. They've got them loaded here in the second. Fisted foul, and it'll count now 1-2. See the base runners. A couple infield hits and a walk to Aviles. Fouled right back. He had a vicious cut at that one. That's a great look at how that thing just floats in there.
The Indians have fouled off 7 two-strike knuckleballs today. A lot of times you swing and miss. They're fouling them off.
high in the air, but foul. Out of play down the right side.
I've seen a lot of knuckleballs upstairs today. You know what I mean? Even on foul balls, whether
Which
they
is
hit
good
it or
for the
they
hitters.
It's very good for the hitters. It doesn't bode well for Dickey. Even though that ball is way out of the zone, they're looking for it to start up. And as a hitter, once you see that, you're going to commit. But, you know, I haven't seen many start at the waist and break down. You don't see the ball going down into the dirt. And that, I would think, would bode better for the pitcher than it does the hitters.
Again, it's popped up foul, out of play.
Even when the ball's up, it's easier to get a piece of upstairs because it's only 78 miles an hour.
Everybody might go home with a souvenir before this one's over. Closing in on 50 pitches already for Dickey. Another pop-up foul. This one back to the screen and out of play. Now, just because he's a knuckleballer doesn't mean that he can go out there and throw an inordinate amount of pitches. He's usually right around 100, a little bit over. He's gone as many as 120.
Well, just because he throws a knuckleball doesn't mean his arm doesn't hurt when he throws pitches. It's no different than any other pitcher.
Again, the 1-2. Cabrera lifts this one in the air. Right field should be playable this time. Batista near the line makes the catch. Tribe leaves him loaded. And after two, it's 1-0 Cleveland. Baseball is brought to you by McDonald's, now introducing 3 exciting new Quarter Pounders, and by Kia. One nothing Tribe on top as we roll to the third inning. Bottom third of the Toronto order coming up. 25 pitches through the first 2 innings for Danny Salazar, 11 in the first, 14 in the second. His counterpart, R.A. Dickey, has already thrown it up there 50 times. Rajai Davis taking its ball 1. Hit foul. Out in front of it. Davis a .295 average on the year. Couple of homers, 11 driven in. He's taken advantage of the opportunity afforded with Melky Cabrera being injured. Swing and a miss. It's 1-2. This kid's fastball is no joke.
No, it is not. It's the real deal. You know, out of his 4 strikeouts, 1 has come off the fastball, 3 have come off the changeup.
There's an off-speed pitch. It might have been a slider there, and Davis got just a bit of it. Fouled it into the chest protector of Gomes.
Yeah, slider.
No, actually got him right off the glove. I thought it got into his chest protector, but he almost came up with that foul tip. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Change up, and he pops it straight up. Chisenhall calling for it. Cabrera.
Well,
and nobody gets it.
You know, I don't understand this. Does he have sunglasses on? The sun's been out all morning. He may not have seen it for 2 weeks, but you have to have some glasses on, for goodness sakes.
He does not.
Are you kidding me? There's the glove. Okay, I understand that, but the sun's out. Get some glasses, the flip downs. Unbelievable.
Now the 1-2 pitch. Bounced it in front of the plate. Now, the weird thing is usually the shortstop's over there in a kind of a same situation, and I'm not sure if he didn't get a beat on it either.
It doesn't. It's irrelevant. You got to have glasses on.
Well, what I'm saying is Cabrera's wearing them, and he wasn't anywhere closer to it. 2-2 and full count now.
Well, they haven't seen the sun in 2 weeks.
The payoff pitch.
There you go, first base runner. Let's check the Kia Indians defense this afternoon. It'll be Brantley in left, Bourne in center, Rayburn in right, Chisenhall at third, Cabrera at short, Aviles is at second, Reynolds at first with Gomes behind the plate.
Josh Thole, 0-for-3 in the series. He had a pinch hit appearance in Game 1. Started last night, then he was lifted for a pinch hitter. Takes ball 1. We'll see how Salazar reacts now out of the stretch for the first time. Davis, great wheels. He has 23 stolen bases on the year. Draws a throw over.
You know, the unfortunate thing there is that doesn't go as an error, and it is, because that ball should have been caught. And now he is going to work from the stretch, and you've got a guy that can run on base.
He takes off, and it's fouled back out of play. Chased one up high. 1 ball, 2 strike. Low throw. Reynolds dug it out nicely, and they almost had him picked off.
It was close. Awfully close. Looked like he had him. He didn't get a good jump going back. He might have got the back side of that bag. That's why as a base runner you always go to that side. It's a little longer tag.
Oh, I thought they had him this time, and he's called safe again.
I did too. That one looked like Reynolds might have got him on the backside, but no. Vanover said no. This looked like they did from our angle. Which we're far away, but He went to the backside.
Oh, I think they got him.
I can't tell from that angle.
1-2 pitch down on the dirt.
Well, that's doing a good job of a base stealer, keeping him close. A couple of bang plays at first base. That'll get him that half step closer. Make him a little less aggressive.
Runner goes. Swing and a miss. Throw down to second. And a slap tag. No, he is safe. Throw was on the shortstop side of the bag, and Cabrera did a terrific job to pick it and then bring the glove back, and he still thought they had him.
Well, he gets the strikeout on a good fastball, but you're right. It was on a shortstop side, and he did have the hand in there. It was close. That was close. But they get the strikeout, and it was a really nice play by Cabrera on that pick. See, watch the hand get right. Oh, that is close. That angle is much closer than we think.
Give Davis his 24th steal of the year. Now a bunt attempt by Kawasaki, but it's foul. Up high with it. 1 ball, 1 strike. And now Gomes going to go out. Kawasaki got the big hit last night, driving in a couple of runs. 3 runs scored on the play. 1 also came home because of the errant throw by Michael Bourne. And that base hit by Kawasaki last night snapped an 0 for 18 slump at that time. Upstairs again, 2-1. In the air to left field, Brantley over toward the line. Makes the catch, and Davis retreats to second base. 2 away. Danny Zalazar, first time through the lineup, has struck out 5, has walked 1. Only 3 balls have been put in play against him. First time through the order. Couple of ground ball outs and a fly out the left right there by Kawasaki.
Nice little combination there. That's that changeup that he has 3 strikeouts on and 2 high fastballs. You know, that first time through, he was very good. Had the walk, but that play should have been made. He should be out of the inning right now.
Yeah, worth repeating. Davis, who's the base runner, popped one up foul, routine, right near the third base coaching box, but Lonnie Chisenhall, without the sunglasses, never saw it. And Davis wound up drawing a walk.
The only thing I can think of right now, he still doesn't have the glasses on, is when you look up in that sky, it's so blue up there that he didn't see the ball, but he was shading his eyes. That's what made me think he needs sunglasses.
Checks the runner, the 1-1 pitch. Up high again. 2 balls and a strike. A number of times in this inning, he's been up out of the strike zone. Reyes struck out swinging in the first. Weekly chop towards third. Chisenhall grabs, throws, got him. Nice play by Lonnie to end the inning. Blue Jays get their first base runner. It does not lead to a run, and the Indians still lead it 1-0. Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. 1-0 Indians on a home run by Asdrubal Cabrera in the first. Indians have already stranded 5 base runners.
Yeah, they have had a lot of opportunities.
4 of the 5 in scoring position. Michael Brantley will lead off this home half of the third. The slow floater is in there for a strike. And a slow chopper towards first. The flip to Dickey, and he just did beat Brantley to the bag, 1 away. Let's have a look at the trivia question today, brought to you by AT&T. Which 2 players share the All-Star record for most RBI in a game with 5? We'll have the answer coming up later in the game. Ryan Rayburn doubled to left his first time up, pops one sky high on the infield. Kawasaki saw it the whole way. Lynn really didn't see it off the bat, the first baseman, but Kawasaki came in to get it, 2 down.
Well, come on out to the ballpark Friday night. The Royals are in town. It'll be Dollar Dogs and fireworks to follow the ball game. Dollar Dogs during the game, and the fireworks will be set to disco music.
2 down for Carlos Santana, who flied to center his first time up. And a strike over the outside corner. Right back over the screen. He had a good cut. 1-2 the count. In and out of the glove of Tolley. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 down, bases empty here in the third. R.A. Dickey looking for a quick pitched inning.
You got it.
Yes, he did. 1, 2, 3 go the Indians. Second strikeout of the afternoon for the Blue Jays right-hander. After 3, 1-0 Indians. Nothing lead. Nacho time.
Why not? I'll tell you, nice crowd here today. It looks beautiful. This ballpark drenched in sunshine. Kids.
Nice to be drenched in sunshine instead of just being drenched.
No kidding. I bet the field likes it as well.
Jose Bautista in there for a strike. Firestone Complete Auto Care Extra Mile Index. Since 2010, nobody's hit more than Jose Bautista.
Well, he can generate some bat speed. I'll tell you what. He's not swinging it. This is probably the slowest time we've seen him, you know, when we play Toronto, although it's only twice a year, once there, once here. But he can generate some bat speed, quick hips, and
another guy with a big, long swing, and sometimes on that long swing, if you don't make contact, you contact the catcher. And on the previous swing,
you mean the backswing, the follow through?
Yeah, he doinked Gomes. 2-2 pitch. Popped him up. Reynolds on a dead sprint, slides and makes the catch.
Nice.
Nicely done by Mark Reynolds for out number 1.
I see that was a tweener because Gomes is coming out too.
And that breeze is blowing it back towards the seating area, and it looked like as hard as Reynolds was running, it was blowing away from him faster.
Watch him take a peek. Goes right into the glove on a nice sliding catch. That's going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. A nice play. Look at Gomes just veer off. Much easier play for Reynolds to come in that way than it is for Gomes looking up into the sky.
Now Encarnacion. Fouls one right back.
He let it go there, too, didn't he?
Yeah, he does.
You know, that's the one thing you were talking about Bautista's swing. It gets a little long. He always used to take the base hits. That's why he would hit for a high average. Right now, he's hitting 260. And so I'm telling you, it looks like he's trying to pull everything as opposed to taking whatever's outside, going the other way with it.
Or I wonder, too, if pitchers made the adjustment and say, you know what, I'm going to just keep pounding him in and not let him extend his arms. And I don't know if you miss in there, he'll hit it 6 miles, but I wonder if there hasn't been an adjustment on pitchers' parts as well.
There has to be. There is adjustments. Well, we're catching them at the right time.
Edwin Encarnacion with a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
Yeah, another 1-2 count. Oh, he's got 9 0-2 1-2 counts. That's exactly what you want from your young pitcher. He's been very good at it today.
But
yes,
just like last night, he hasn't had any offensive support to work with other than the 1 run. That's his 6th strikeout of the ball game.
Well, the way he's pitching right now, he doesn't worry about it. You give him the lead, there's another changeup, and Encarnacion cannot hold up.
It'll bring up Adam Lind. Lind 1 out of 9 in the series. Fouled right back. Threw it by him again. No balls, 2 strikes. '23-year-old Danny Salazar into the line, the 0-2, and a weak ground ball hit to first. Reynolds steps on the bag, and the Blue Jays go 1-2-3. What a debut for the rookie right-hander. 1-0, middle of the 4th. Well, we go now to the bottom of the 4th here at Progressive Field. Lots of sunshine, finally. Rain is gone. Looks like it's going to be a great weekend. Hope to see you out here at the ballpark as the Indians will head into the All-Star break with a 3-game series against Kansas City Friday, Saturday, both night games, and then Sunday will be a 1 o'clock game to end the first half of the season, even though we're well past the halfway mark. One ball, 1 strike.
Well, we're 10 games past it.
Yeah, when we come back, we'll have, 60, is that right? 67 games left?
That'll be about right.
Way outside, he missed. Then a full count.
Dickey's payoff pitch. And Reynolds pops it out of play. He got caught in between his first time up and a little jam job right back to the mound. Count stays 3-2. Robert Allen Dickey. Blue Jays gave up their top couple of prospects to go out and acquire him in the offseason. Swing and a miss. Third strikeout for Dickey. One down here in the fourth inning. Right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, Sam Amico will break down the signing of Andrew Bynum for the Cavaliers. You can vote for the best third baseman in Tribe history and check out Fox Sports Game Connect. It's all on FoxSportsOhio.com. Lonnie Chisenhall taking a strike. An infield hit his first time up. And there's a high pop left field. In comes Davis. 2 down.
Well, the Indians Tribe Park and Ride will bus you to and from Progressive Field from 5 area suburbs one more night. That'll take place Saturday if you purchase your fare for only $5 per person. You go to Indians.com, plan your trip.
Pitch outside. Yan Gomes, an infield hit. His first time up. A slow roller between third and short. 1-1 to count.
I want to send along birthday wishes to Edgar Stefanis from Sugar Creek, Ohio, turning 94 today. Edgar, happy birthday.
Two balls and a strike. Here's a 2-1 pitch. Gomes taking.
Fastball.
I was going to say that's one of the few we've seen, huh?
Sneaks it by at 85.
And he strikes him out. Boy, he's getting sharper. That's 7 in a row set down by the knuckleballer from Toronto. 1-0 Cleveland through 4.
Baseball is brought to you by the wireless receiver only from AT&T Uverse. Rethink possible. And by your local Toyota dealers.
Toyota, let's go places. 1-0 Indians on top. Go to the 5th inning. And Danny Salazar in his major league debut has been dynamite. Colby Rasmus will lead off for Toronto. Struck out his first time up. Hits the first pitch on the ground to Reynolds at first. One away here in inning number 5.
Well, he's been throwing a lot of strikes, man. He's 2 for 1. So these guys, the second time around, will probably start getting a little more aggressive, trying to get ahead in the count, trying to get after him, looking for that first pitch fastball. And then you can have a nice quick inning. You'll love to see that 1 pitch, 1 out starting off an inning.
Oh, nice pitch there. And this is what it's been fun watching him today, Rick, is that he's got a number of different weapons, and he's shown them all today. He's not afraid to change speeds.
Well, I said he's going to come at you. He's going to throw
98 miles an hour.
He's been up to 98. He's been as high as he has hit. He's thrown 2 pitches, 99 last inning. What's that, 7 strikeouts now? And
yeah.
He's been really a treat to watch. You come out here and let's go. It's a nice combination of the mid-90s fastball, a very nice changeup, and a few breaking balls. Let's go. He hasn't messed around. Composure looks very good.
But he's taken just enough off at times to make hitters wary of the off-speed pitch, and then when he reaches back and buzzes it by him.
Well, you have to start dialing it up for 95. Chris Antonetti told me this kid will stay between 93 and 96. He will stay there. And, you're saying, wow, I didn't realize that. And he said he's got a good changeup and an occasional breaking ball. And he's been right on. And I'll tell you what, this kid has mixed it up well. Gomes has called a good game. They look very comfortable. He doesn't mess around. He works quickly. You got to love it.
Well, he certainly has not been overwhelmed by the moment. His major league debut.
12-0-2-1-2 counts.
That one hit 99, but that one almost went to the backstop.
Yeah, you try and overthrow it every now and then, but that happens.
Here's the 1 and the 2-2. And that fastball fouled right back by Davis. The only man to reach in this game, Rajai Davis. He drew a walk in the 3rd after a pop-up and foul ground was lost in the sun. Should have been an easy out to start that 3rd inning. The 2-2. Popped him up again. Foul territory again. This time first base side. Reynolds to the railing. Ran into that railing. Couldn't come up with a play, but a nice effort.
That hit the little railing across the top of the dugout and deflected back. Reynolds just ran out of room. Watch him get over there, and it just kicked off the top. That little gutter.
Downspout, huh?
Yeah, that little downspout that sits over the dugout. He wasn't going to reach it anyway. Oh, so close.
Two. Foul back by Davis. Danny Wines, the 2-2, another foul back. Well, Davis has definitely dialed up for the fastball, and he's been just shooting them back, getting a piece. The 2-2 pitch. Hit foul again. This one into the Indians dugout, and that's Ubaldo Jimenez scattering. This is a pretty good at bat for Davis because he's fouling off just about everything Salazar's thrown up there, and that's why Gomes is out to have a chat here.
Well, he had a good at bat his last time, even though he should have been out with that pop up. He ended up drawing a walk. He's already seen 18 pitches off Salazar and fouled a lot of them off, so he's battled to stay alive in his 2 at bats. He's had the best at bats going today for Toronto.
That's hit in the air down the right field line. A long run over for Rayburn. No, can't get to it.
I'll tell you what, he's been a tough out.
Took the sting out of his bat, popped to left. Brantley's there, makes the catch. What an amazing job by Danny Salazar, just watching the way he's gone out and pitched around his Toronto lineup. A shutout through 5. We're going out of the bottom of the 5th inning with the Indians in front 1-0. R.A. Dickey, after looking like he might not survive this game early on, has settled in and has set down 7 straight batters.
Yes, he has settled in a little bit. He had a lot of opportunities early. 5 runners stranded in the first 2 innings. But it's been 2 quick 1, 2, 3 innings for Dickey.
Bourne flips one to center field. And in comes Rasmus to grab that for out number 1. If you were born and raised in Ohio and want to be the next Fox Sports Ohio girl, go to girls.foxsportsohio.com to submit an application. The casting call for the next Fox Sports Ohio girl ends on July 24th. Mike Aviles has struck out and walked in a swing and a miss.
He's swinging from the on-deck circle. I don't know if he's taken a pitch yet today. He has, because he walked his last at-bat.
Quickly 0-2. Back out of play. Dickey deals, and he hit him.
All right, you take it. That's about the only way that Aviles was going to take a pitch.
1 on, 1 out here in the 5th. Our in-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. With 2 gone in the first, as Dribble Cabrera homered off R.A. Dickey, just like he did back on opening day. But that's been the only run of this game. The next 2 reached in the first inning, but with runners at second and third and 2 down, Santana flied out to end that inning. Then in the second, a couple of infield hits, a walk with 2 outs, loaded the bases, and then as Dribble Cabrera flied to right to end that inning. And the Indians haven't had a base runner until Aviles just got hit by that pitch. He was the last man to reach when he walked with 2 outs in the second inning. Aviles takes off, the throw down to second base, and they got him. 2 away.
That's one thing Dickey can do, is control a running game. The only thing you bank on is maybe the catcher's not going to get a clear or a clean toss, but he certainly did there. The throw, there's the tag, gets him right before he touches the base.
Now it's Dribble Cabrera with a foul, and I couldn't tell, did he get him on the follow through with the bat, or did the pitch just rip the glove off there? Totally needs a moment to put himself back together.
Look at the size of that. It almost looks like a first baseman's glove, doesn't it?
Yeah, really. And essentially, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's cut a little differently, but let's see the swing. There's the glove.
Oh, it was just that way that foul tip came down and caught him right on the thumb.
Yeah, that hurt him.
Ripped his thumb straight down. Big bouncer to second. Kawasaki flips it. And the Indians are gone quickly here in the 5th. It remains Cleveland 1, Toronto nothing. Indians on top as we go to the 6th inning. Take a look at the final vote in the American League for the All-Star team. Steve Delabar still leads it. Voting ends at 4 o'clock today. You can text or log on to make your final vote. We'll have the National League, see how it looks in the National League here in a little bit. Well, Danny Salazar back out here, but he's on a strict pitch count today. They say they want to limit him to 85 to 90 pitches, so this is, in all likelihood, his final inning of work.
Well, he is. I've really enjoyed watching him to this point because it's been nothing but strikes. A nice combination of mixing his fastball, his changeup. And, boy, he's made it look easy, hasn't he?
0-2.
That's, 13 now. 0-2, 1-2 counts.
16.
The key to pitching right there is pitching from in front. You get to expand the hitter strike zone. This kid's 23 years old. I hope there's some people looking in that dugout and watching what he's doing.
What was wrong with that?
Nothing. That was a good pitch. Let's check it out on our Nissan pitch tracker. Right? Oh, it was down the middle. That's what was wrong with it.
Come on.
He was fooled by it, that's all.
"16 swings and misses by Blue Jays hitters here in this game. And, of course, a second chance, and it's the first hit of the game. Boy, oh, boy.
Well, I'll tell you what. They better enjoy it, man. A no-hitter for 5 straight innings.
Miss a pitch right down the middle, and it ends up costing you the first hit of the game.
It really does. But that's, you know what? The kid is, he's been terrific. That's what happens. You get an extra strike, and he took advantage of it. This pitch was not a bad pitch at all. It was off the plate, and he just happened to stay on it and slapped it to left field. That's a good job by Tolley to stay on the baseball.
Kawasaki lays down the bunt. Quick flip to first, and a nice job by Aviles to cover. Tolley goes into scoring position on the sacrifice. Here's the final vote in the National League. Freddie Freeman still leading. As you still have time to make your final selection, and the results will be finalized later this afternoon. Mickey Callaway out to talk with Danny Salazar. It's just amazing that Josh Tolley took a pitch that was right down the middle of the plate, and it was called a ball. And yet he swings at a pitch that's outside the strike zone and gets the first hit of the game. Once again, it goes to show you sometimes there is good old-fashioned luck involved when it comes to throwing a no-hitter.
Well, he wasn't going to throw one today anyway with pitches, so.
Took him 80 pitches to get their first hit of the game. Jose Reyes fouls one straight back. And a line drive caught by Aviles, throw to second, not in time.
Oh.
Nearly an inning-ending double play.
Well, Cabrera couldn't get there. That ball was just hit too hard. Even though Tolley was on second, he didn't stray far off. Cabrera just couldn't get there in time. He was playing back a little bit. Nice play by Aviles. Line drive, watch him. See, there comes Cabrera coming in. They tried to get the snap throw, and he just does get back. Nice try. Good play. You've got 2 outs.
And a strike to Jose Bautista, who's 0 for 2 here today. Bautista grounded to third in the first, fouled out. First base side in the fourth. Boy, nice off-speed pitch, and now it's 0-2. Fastball, slider, changeup. All 3 pitches have been working for Danny Salazar here in his major league debut. Now the 2-strike pitch. Fouled right back. 98 miles an hour. He's going to go right at Batista here and try to keep the Indians in front 1-0. What an impressive debut for Salazar. The 0-2 pitch. A little bit low. He deals. Hit hard left field, base hit, tie game. On his way to second base with a 2-out RBI double is Jose Batista. Batista gets his first hit of the series. It comes with 2 outs here in the 6th inning. And we're all even at 1 apiece.
Well, there's that fastball. That's one of the few mistakes he made inside. They wanted the heater away, and it has a little tendency to come over in. So he'll give up a 2-strike and a 2-out double. So now just see if he can get through this inning right here. It's only the second hit. But it's a new ball game. It's 1-1 here. Toronto able to come back and tie it up.
Edwin Encarnacion 0 for 2. Checks the swing. Bounces it to first. Reynolds will tag the bag.
Get the kid a run.
Salazar gives up his first major league hit, his first major league run here in the 6th inning. And we're all even at 1. Well, Danny Salazar in a spot start makes his major league debut, gets a pat from skipper Terry Francona.
I'll tell you, I don't know if you can do much better than that.
Well, if the Indians can come back and get him a run here, it'd put him in line for a win, possibly.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That would be really nice. That was a really great job.
Michael Brantley will lead it off.
Pitching coach all smiles. Had a chance to get out of there. Cripes, he had a no-hitter going into the 6th.
Brantley a single in the first, grounded out his last time up. Hit him. Second hit batter of the day. Indians get their leadoff man aboard here in the 6th.
Boy, that's, yeah, you'll take it. Second time today. This time it's a leadoff guy. Last inning, it was a one-out hit batter with Mike Aviles. See that ball just cut inside and got Brantley. See if they can take advantage of it now.
Ryan Rayburn doubled back in the first inning, popped up on the infield his last time up. Down low for ball 1.
He put a really nice swing on a double back in the first inning. It was short, it was quick.
The 1-0 foul out of play. The 1-1 is outside. 2 balls and a strike. That's low. 3-1. Dickey fires over to first. Brantley back.
It's not a bad thought by Dickey to hold him close because you could send him on the 3-1 pitch. And if he doesn't like it, he takes it. But he controls it pretty well. Most knuckleballers do. The reason being they never have to have a high leg kick because they're not trying to throw velocity and get something extra on it. They're just floating it up there. They just try to get it to their catcher quick enough to give him an opportunity to throw to second base. It's just a matter if he catches it or not. Now we'll see if he wants to start him. 3-2. Do you feel Rayburn can put the ball in play? You start Brantley. I would say let's go. You got to start him.
Well, they haven't had any opportunities, so you might as well.
Yeah, I mean, they did have Aviles was thrown out last time, but you got to be. He had a little lean.
Indians just haven't generated anything since that second inning when they loaded the bases, but could not score. Runner goes, 3-2 fouled away. White Sox lead the Tigers 1-0. They're in the second in Detroit. Adam Lehman looked like Brantley able to scamper back. Got a late jump, doesn't matter, it's ball 4. And the first 2 on for the Tribe here in the 6th. We'll get the answer now to the AT&T trivia question. Which 2 players share the All-Star Game record for most ribbies?
I don't know. Ted Williams and who? Al Rosen. Again, 54. It was his year, wasn't it?
Sure was. Well, he hit 2
home
runs in
in
that
the
game.
also, yeah.
2 on, nobody out. Carlos Santana 0 for 2 on the day. Looks at a strike. Up and away with it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, I don't hear our chorus today and haven't heard them all day long.
I don't think they're here.
They went back. They weren't allowed in day games. They had no voices.
I think they were filled up on high-test fluid last night. Well, Michael Brantley in a good spot here Carlos Santana with Michael Brantley in scoring position. 2 on, nobody out. The bottom of the 6th, and Santana taking ball 3.
Oh, boy. Now you've got an opportunity. You know, you could take a chance if you're a hitter and say, I want to look fastball in this situation. Just to take a chance in a 3-1 count. Got the nice hard knuckleball at 81. And it was low. This is one of the few. Look at, see the movement there?
Another 3-2 count. And Santana fouls this one off of his foot. The set by Dickey, the payoff pitch, and Santana bangs it foul. Dickey, as I said, the way he started out, it didn't look like he was going to last long. But he bobbed and weaved his way through the first 2, then he got into a groove. And the Indians haven't had a hit since those 2 infield singles in the 2nd inning. 3-2 pitch, swung on and missed. That's his 5th strikeout. The Midsummer Classic returns to New York with home field advantage for the World Series on the line. It's the 2013 Major League Baseball All-Star Game live from New York Tuesday night, only on Fox.
This one was away. And I'm not sure if it was a strike or he went after it, but you can see how slow it was, and it had Santana out in front. That's from looking behind. That was a big pitch in a crucial situation that he was able to make.
Reynolds backs away. He was nearly hit. Wow. That was a weird looking pickoff attempt by Dickey.
Old school move. Just step off and turn to the inside and fire it.
I thought maybe he didn't. Oh, there go the runners. Well, one of them went. Brantley takes 3rd easily. Rayburn looked like he started towards 2nd and maybe just didn't like his jump. So he stays at 1st.
Well, I like, there was nobody at 3rd base to throw to. Tolley was going to go to the back runner and throw behind him, and that was the call, the right call, but Rayburn stopped. You have to make sure that guy is going to go from 2nd to 3rd. You can't run down his back, but Brantley gets to 3rd.
And Reynolds a chance now to get a run home here as he takes outside. It's 3-0. Wow, what a pick by Tolley. It's ball 4. The bases are loaded. And with 1 out, Lonnie Chisenhall coming up.
Well, he sort of gift wrapped this inning for him. They hit Brantley to lead it off, then a walk to Rayburn. He struck out Santana, and now he walks Reynolds. Nice pick. So he has given all 3 base runners to the Indians, and they're going to try and get one of them across.
Managing a knuckleballer takes a lot of patience, and John Gibbons knows that while R.A. Dickey can get himself into trouble with that knuckleball, he is also equally as likely to get himself out of trouble with that same pitch. It can be vexing, perplexing, whatever you want to call it, but it can be all of those things from one pitch to the next, from one at-bat to the next. Chisenhall ropes it foul into the dugout, and that sent him scattering for the second time today. First time it was because of a thrown bat by one of their own players. This time Chisenhall drilled a foul ball in there. Bases loaded with one out. Takes a strike. It's 0-2. A floater. Shallow left. Drops the base hit. Brantley will score. Everybody else moves up. And the throw goes to the backstop. It gets past Dickey. Another run scores as Rayburn alertly scores on the play. And the Tribe leads it 3-1. Oh, what a play there. Davis got to the ball. I don't know what he was trying to do. He wasn't going to get Brantley, but he tried to throw it all the way to home and threw it to the backstop. And then when it hit the backstop, Dickey couldn't catch the ricochet, and then Rayburn with the play right in front of him kept on motoring home.
Yeah, and Chisenhall gets enough of it. Reyes was not going to get it. In comes Davis. Now, he thought he was going to throw the guy out at home plate, and he airmails the catcher. Now, look at Brantley has to jump out of the way because of the deflection off the backstop. That allows another run to score, second and third. Still just one out. It's a 3-1 Indians lead.
So give Lonnie Chisenhall an RBI single. And then Rayburn scores on the error by Davis. And the runners are at second and third now, and the infield is drawn in, cut of the grass, as Yan Gomes tries to really bust it open now. Glances off the bat foul. Here's another look at the throw from Davis. And, I mean, that was a good
airmailed it.
10, 12 feet over everybody's head. Well, that was quick. Second out of the inning. And that's what I talk about with that knuckleball. I mean, from one at bat to the next, he comes right back. And he gets Gomes, his sixth strikeout of the day. 2 down now for Michael Bourne, who is 0 for 3. Well, now the Indians have put Danny Salazar in position to get a win in his major league debut. But it will be up to the bullpen to hold that lead now because Salazar's day is over. Michael Bourne taking a strike. Upstairs. Upstairs with it. The 2-0. Swing and a miss. Mark Reynolds, the runner at third base, with Lonnie Chisenhall at second. 2 down on the 2-2 pitch. And Bourne, did he hold on to it? Yes, he is out. He did get a piece of it. And the home plate umpire said Tolle held on. And that's the final out of the inning. But the Indians regain the lead on the base hit by Lonnie Chisenhall. The errant throw, 3-1 Cleveland.
Panini's with 18 locations in Northeast Ohio. And by Levin.
And a look in at Progressive Field from our Panini Cam, brought to you by Panini's Bar and Grill. Beautiful sunshiny day. The Indians now with a 3-1 lead. Danny Salazar is in position to get the win now in his Major League debut. Today's Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen will be for Rich Hill, his 36th appearance on the year, 0-1, 6.5 ERA. And he'll be facing Adam Lind, Kobe Rasmus, both left-handed hitters, and then the switch-hitting Maicer Izturis. Looks like Cody Hill is up now in the Tribe bullpen.
He ended up facing
Cody
these
Allen,
guys yesterday. Hill did. He was able to get Lind on a fastball, but he walked Rasmus, who came around to score. It was in the 9th inning.
Rich Hill's pitch is outside, 1-1.
Boy, what a nice 6 innings for Danny Salazar. That's fun to watch. I know this is a spot start for him. But I'll tell you, the way he throws, he's got a good arm. Good fastball, good changeup. That's a guy you may want to think about out of the bullpen you could keep up here. If he's not going to start, you can't bring him back up here.
72% of his pitches today were thrown for strikes.
He was impressive.
Breaking ball hit on the ground to first. 1 down. As promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. 38 times Danny Salazar threw a pitch today that registered 95 miles an hour or more. He had 16 swings and misses. He never fell behind a hitter 2-0. And 14 times he had him 0-2 or 1-2. That was a clinic.
That's impressive. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If this guy, if you're filled up in the rotation, you could certainly use an arm like that out of the bullpen because he can throw strikes. And they could use some help in the bullpen right now.
Missed outside. 2-0. That was the first hit of the game on a breaking ball that was right down the middle of the plate. And then Tolley, with 2 strikes, got another chance and whacked one into left field. It was the first hit of the game, and it came in the 6th inning. And then with 2 outs, Jose Bautista hit a laser to left field for his first hit in the series that drove home Toronto's only run. It tied the game momentarily. The Indians rally back for 2 to take the lead. Kobe Rasmus struck out, grounded out earlier. He is 2 for 9 in the series. Rope foul. The 2-2. Now a full count, I guess. I don't know. This was another pretty close pitch.
Yeah, tough one. I don't know how you take it. That's an easy pitch to chase after and swing at. He didn't
Right
take
back to
that
the mound.
one.
Hill will flip it to first. 2 away. Most strikeouts by an Indian starter in their major league debut since 1916. Louis Tiant whiffed 11 back in 1964. Herb Score set down 9 in 1955. Floyd Weaver punched out 8 in 62. And Danny Salazar joins that list with 7 here today.
Yeah, very nice. Nice debut. He's in line, too, for the win. That 2-run sixth helped him.
Here's Torres, bangs it foul. Bounce to first. Reynolds will take it himself. Rich Hill with a 1-2-3, 7th inning. And the Indians lead it 3-1. Time now for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard. Buying a car shouldn't be.
Welcome back to today's Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen. Indians lead at 3-1. It'll be left-hander Aaron Loup that's on for the 38th time. A 3-3 record, 205 earned run average in his 44 innings, 33 strikeouts. Coming on to face Aviles Cabrera Brantley. Dickey, 6 innings, 6 hits. Allowed 3 runs, 2 of them earned, walked 3.
What a effort by Reyes, but came up empty as Aviles shot it through there for a base hit.
Yeah, that ball was hit right on the nose. Hit very well by Aviles. He gets his first hit of the day. He walked once, got hit by a pitch, struck out in his first at bat, but he's on first now.
Asdrubal Cabrera with the big home run early that gave Danny Salazar and the Tribe the early lead. 2 2 kind of funny. You think back, Asdrubal had pretty solid spring. Then he hit that home run on opening day, and it's almost as if after that he went into a tailspin offensively. And, he still is trying to find I don't know if it's a level of consistency or just finding a good groove offensively, but he just hasn't been able to get untracked. He's had some spurts where he swung the bat well, but with his track record and as good as he has been over the years, you'd expect a month where, he hits 360, 370, something to that effect.
Well, he had that leg issue for a while before it blew on him. Remember? And then he had to go on the disabled list.
Yeah.
And he was playing through it okay for a while. So if you have any leg issues and hitting a baseball is, you got to generate the bat speed, it's tough to do. Don't know if it has anything, not making an excuse for him, but.
You do wonder, though, if that did have an effect on.
Offensively?
Yeah. Three and one to count. The good thing for Cabrera is that he's got a lot of help around him now. I think in years past he felt he was carrying a lot of the load offensively. But he fouled that one off of his leg and needs a minute to gather himself. And I think when he struggled in years past, the offense would struggle as a result because of it. But now this year, even though he's had his problems, boy, Jason Kipnis has been there to pick him up. Michael Bourne at the top of the order has done a nice job swinging the bat. So he's had guys around him. Mike Avila stepped in and played in his absence and did a remarkable job for 19 games.
They didn't have a replacement for him last year.
No, they did not. Not for the last couple of years, really. Cabrera ready now. The 3-2 pitch coming. But Aviles draws a throw instead. Throw to first. Lynn throws down to second. And Aviles is retired for the second time today trying to steal.
Got to make sure he goes home. You're not trying to steal a base. You're banking he's going to put it in play. Second time he's been caught today. He's just guessing he wasn't going to throw over there again, and guess what? He guessed wrong.
Three-two pitch. Hit in the air pretty well. Deep center. Back is Rasmus onto the track and makes the grab for out number 2.
Well, if you're a Jimmy Buffett fan, come on out to Saturday night's ball game because the fireworks theme will be set to Jimmy Buffett. It's against the Kansas City Royals. The first 10,000 fans through the gates for the 7:05 game will receive a 1902 replica road jersey. Gates will open at 5:30.
Brantley bouncer towards second base. Kawasaki throws him out. 7 in the books. Cleveland 3, Toronto 1.
Authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians.
(3-1) Indians on top as we go down to the 8th inning, and our great clip of the game from yesterday. Justin Masterson heading into the All-Star break, his final start of the first half. Boy, he was awfully good, and then just ran out of gas or ran into a buzzsaw, whatever you want to call it. But in the 7th inning, the wheels fell off for him. He only gave up the 2 runs, but in a tight game like that one, where the Indians were leading 1-0, it flipped in a hurry. But, really a strong performance by Masterson in the first part of the season heading into the All-Star break. And he is a very deserved All-Star for the Tribe. He and Jason Kipnis will be representing the club in the All-Star game. Now Cody Allen for the 39th time this year. 4-1, 2.39 ERA. He's got the bottom third of the Toronto lineup due up here.
Allen coming on now for the 39th time. He's going to get Davis, Tolley, Kawasaki, the 7, 8, 9 hitters in this Toronto lineup. Of course, Joe Smith is probably unavailable today. He's pitched 4 straight days, so you won't see him. He needs an off day. Bullpen has been struggling, but this young man he's making a name for himself. Cody Allen.
Fastball outside, ball 1. Fastball at the knees. 97 miles an hour, and that'll even the count. A little bit low. And the 2-1. Swung at it.
That
ball
pitch
bounced a couple of feet off the plate.
It's in front of the plate, and it was almost in the left-handed batter's box, and he swung at it. Watch this. Holy smokes. Yeah, that's
I think
embarrassing.
he was guessing maybe a little bit there.
Oh, you think? No question about it.
Got him looking. Oh, boy.
Wow.
He dropped a beautiful hook on him for the strikeout. 1 down here in the 8th.
The only one that would have hit that pitch that bounced was Vladimir Guerrero, and he's retired. But then he comes right back with the dandy. That's the good curveball from Cody Allen right there, and he walked back. That was not a good at-bat for Davis.
Josh Tolley singled and scored the only run of the game in the 6th inning. And a fastball called a strike. 1-1 to count. We're in the 8th inning. Indians in front 3-1. Cody Allen in the Tribe pen trying to protect it. Just a bit inside, 2-1. Rich Hill worked a 1-2-3 7th inning out of the pen. Joe Smith worked in his 4th consecutive game last night. Said afterwards he felt good, but he said once I got out there I realized I wasn't good. You know, it's one thing to feel good. It's another thing to be able to go out and execute and do what you do on a normal basis, but he wasn't able to.
I give him credit just for going out there. You go out there 4 straight days. You know, you do what you can. He went out there, he didn't have it, period. Nothing you can do about it. He gave it his all.
2-2 pitch. Strike 3 call.
Good hook today, baby.
Cody Allen has rung up the first 2 Blue Jays here in the 8th inning.
When he's got this curveball working, it's 12-6, and I'm telling you, it's got great bite to it. And, I mean, it's tight.
Especially when he's throwing 97, 96.
Right. He's right around that mid-90s, and that's a nice compliment right there.
Munenori Kawasaki, the sacrifice bunt his last time up. Lines one towards left, another base hit. He had been 0 for 18 heading into this series, but got a key hit last night, and now a key hit here will bring the tying run to the plate in the 8th inning for Toronto.
You know, he just tries to slap everything the other way. A lot of the Japanese hitters. They're in there running out, and they're just trying to go the other way with it, and he did that last night. With runners on base, he gets a base hit here. It's only the 3rd hit for the Jays today.
Jose Reyes 0 for 3, 2 for 11 in the series. Tigers lead the White Sox 2-1. They're in the 4th in the Motor City. A strike call to even the count. Throw over. You know, when Toronto got hot and had that 11-game win streak, no, they had hopes that, hey, we can get right back in this thing. And they pointed a lot to Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay on June 23rd was in last place. They've now won 7 straight. They're the hottest team in baseball, and they're only 3.5 out of first behind Boston.
It's called pitching. Tampa, they sent a quality starter. Yes, he did.
He swung at it, but the ball popped loose from Gomes, and down to second goes Kawasaki.
You know, anytime you have a staff like the Rays do, they got David Price back, they are going to be competitive. And that's what happened with Toronto when they went into that 11-game streak. They were scoring, but they were also pitching very, very well.
We looked at the numbers. Their ERA was down.
It was in the 2s, and their bullpen was under 1.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they were just lights-out pitching, but that has to continue if they're going to stay and get back in it, especially in the East. That's where Tampa ends up coming in, you know, and doing the job, is because consistently their pitching is as good as it gets.
Plus, they've been taking care of business at home. They're 31-18 now at the Trop. Reyes pulls it foul. I think only the Red Sox have a better home record at 31-16.
Yeah, especially in that division. They have the most. Yeah, you're right, 31 wins. Both teams have it from that division.
Allen checks the runner. And the 1-2 upstairs. Jose Reyes with Jose Batista waiting on deck. You don't want to see him in this inning.
No, that's true. So let him lead off the last inning. Big out here for the Indians and Cody Allen.
The 2-2. Swung on and missed. He struck him out. Good inning for Cody Allen. He strikes out 3. And we'll go to the bottom of the 8th with the Indians in front 3-1. Indians on top. Stay tuned for Indians Live after the ball game right here on Sports Time Ohio. The highlights, analysis, and a whole lot more brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care.
How nice was it seeing old friend Steve Liverani in the house today? That is beautiful. Very nice.
Enjoying retirement, well deserved for him.
It sure is. We go back a long way.
Darren Oliver, speaking of going back a long way.
Yeah, I think Steve's younger than this guy.
Darren Oliver taking over here in the 8th inning. Pitch is down low. The 42-year-old of course, his dad, Bob Oliver, played with the Pittsburgh Pirates, also with Kansas City, the Angels, and the Orioles, also the Yankees. His career was winding down just as yours was beginning. His last year was 75.
Yeah. Right, that's my first. Yep.
A leadoff walk for Ryan Rayburn, his second walk today. As we get a look now at our in-game box score from your Northern Ohio Hyundai dealers. Now, as Dribble Cabrera got it started for the Indians in the first inning, and then in the 6th, Lonnie Chisnall with a big RBI single, and then the errant throw, adding the second run on the board for the Tribe. Hasn't been a lot of offense here today, but Drew Stubbs pinch running for Rayburn. Carlos Santana turns around batting right-handed for the first time today. 0 for 3, 1 for 9 in the series. Seems like the only team that Darren Oliver hasn't pitched for in his career has been Cleveland. Broke into the bigs in 1993 with Texas. Bloop toward right field, but Batista's there. He slipped and fell. He can't make the play. It gets by him. It'll go to the wall. Stubbs flying around second. On his way to third. They're going to wave him home. Here he comes. He will score. 4-1 Indians as Santana gets credited. We'll see how they score it, but the ball got down, and when Batista slipped, he could not recover.
Yeah, I mean,
probably going to be a triple.
It's got to be. He had no other choice. His the footwork, he fell down. He still went after and lunged at that ball and came up short. Look at the footing. As wet as this field has been, it gives way. He's still trying to make – that's great effort. Look at the effort there. He just couldn't get to it. It gets by him. It gets to the wall. Stubbs scores. Santana catches a break, gets his 41st ribby, his first triple, and it's a 4-1 Tribe lead.
Now Mark Reynolds taking a called strike. Infield in. Not all the way, but most of the way in as Reynolds rips one foul. Jose Batista, who's been a terrific defender wherever they put him in his career.
That goes to show you how much water this field has taken on over the course of this homestand. There's nothing you can do about it. That foot goes, it slips. There's nothing you can do.
And isn't that the way it goes if you're a pinch runner? I mean, Drew Stubbs just came into the game as a pinch runner, and boom, let's go first to home.
Well, that goes to show you, when you go in, you better be ready to go first to home when you get out there. He can run with the best of them. He's fun to watch anyway when he's running.
I was watching him, too, as he was going around the bases. It almost looked like a warm-up lap, and he still got in there without even really a play at the plate.
It was a warm-up lap. Yeah, there was no play. Once Bautista goes down, no chance for Rasmus to get all the way over to right field and help him out on that play.
Reynolds takes a called third strike. 1 down. Let's take a look at the whole thing.
I mean, watch this. See, there's nobody behind him, so the only one that can get it is Bautista. And there he is. You're right. It's a warm-up lap. He's not airing it out. He knows.
Looks like a distance runner. He's just gliding.
His footwork was messed up around third. He's saying, "Oh man, yeah, he wasn't ready." He is now, though, because he'll be in right field.
Lonnie Chisenhall, now the infield all the way in. They're hugging the grass around the horn. Lonnie Chisenhall, a couple of hits today. One an infield hit, and then the RBI hit in the 6th. Slow breaking ball, 1-1. Just a bit outside. Oliver will throw out Chisenhall, 2 down.
Well, it's your opportunity to secure the lowest prices for next year's season tickets. It'll be available at the season ticket holdover event. That'll take place July 28th. Log on to Tribe Rewards.
Well, let's see if Yan Gomes can get him home from third here with 2 down. 1 for 3 on the day. Mentioned that Darren Oliver broke in with Texas back in 1993. He also has pitched with the St. Louis Cardinals, the Red Sox, the Rockies, the Marlins, the Astros, the New York Mets, the Angels,
a couple of times,
and now the Blue Jays. He's actually had 3 different stints with Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Two balls and a strike. So now the count 3-1 here for Yan Gomes. Three-one pitch. Gomes hits it foul, third base side. Santana hopping out of the way. Oliver has made 21 pitches. But he committed the ill-fated mistake that many a reliever fall victim to. He walked the leadoff man, and that run came around to score. Gomes slowly chopped to third. Do or die play for his Torres, and he got him by a whisker. But the Indians add another run, and we go to the 9th, 4-1 Cleveland. Ohio, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. Indians with a 4-1 lead trying to win the series and get to 48 and 44 on the year. Chris Perez will try to save it as he has pitched now in 24 games on the year. This will be his 11th save. Well, he'll be his 13th save situation. He has saved 10, looking for his 11th. Drew Stubbs remains in the game in right field. Jose Bautista will lead it off now for Toronto. Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion, and Adam Lind due up for Toronto. Swung on and missed by Bautista. High pop, foul ground. Chisenhall over near the railing, makes the catch. One down here in the ninth. So Bautista retired. 1 for 4 today, 1 for 12 in the series. Edwin Encarnacion is 0 for 3. And he takes a strike. Shallow pop, right field. Out goes Aviles. Makes the catch, 2 down. $20,641 the attendance this afternoon here at Progressive Field. They were here to witness the Major League debut of Danny Salazar. And it was impressive to say the very least. He went 6 innings, allowed 1 run on 2 hits, walked 1, struck out 7. He was on a strict pitch count because the way he was throwing, it looked like he could have kept going. Really interesting to see what happens, though, after the All-Star break. There's a fly ball, right field, on the run. Stubbs can't get it. It'll go to the wall. And Adam Lind has himself a 2-out double.
Ball hit right on the nose.
I think Stubbs felt like he had a shot at it, but that ball was hit a lot harder.
Yeah, sometimes off the bat, as an outfielder, you think you can get there, so you break over and you say, oh, my goodness, that thing has hit a lot harder than you realize.
Vapor trail coming off of it.
It really is. Sometimes they'll go down. That one he just hit too well.
And that is, I guess, ball 1. Fouled right back. Two down in the ninth. Runner at second base. Colby Rasmus, the 1-1 count, looks at a ball down and in. Indians looking to go 6-2 in the deciding game of a 3-game series on the year. Three balls and a strike. JP Arencibia moved to the on-deck circle here. And Rasmus singles into right field. They're going to wave Adam Lynn around. He's going to score. And it's now a 4-2 ball game, and the tying run is coming to the plate.
Well,
and JP Arencibia will be the pinch hitter for Maicer Izturis.
That ball gets under Aviles at second into right field. It's a 4-2 game.
Arencibia is 1 for 7 on the year as a pinch hitter. And it's ball one. Ripped down the line, foul. And the count is 1-1.
It's always interesting. Perez comes in. I'll tell you what, the Indians needed that run in that they put on the board in the 8th with Bautista falling down.
Way outside. 2 balls and a strike. Perez awaits, he deals, and it's low and away, gets by Gomes, and down to second goes Rasmus. His run really not of importance. The big run is at the dish.
Yes, indeed it is. I mean, that one right off, that's going to be a pass ball. It's right there for Gomes. But you get the first 2 out, and now you make it interesting.
And it's ball 4. Now the tying run is aboard, and the go-ahead run is at the plate. All of this after there were 2 outs and nobody on base, and it seemed that Perez had taken care of the toughest 2 hitters he would face, Bautista and Encarnacion. But then Lynn with a laser double to right center. Rasmus an RBI single, and now the walk to Arencibia has set the stage for Rajai Davis, who is 0 for 2 today and 1 for 6 in the series. Now, Perez has missed on 9 of his last 11 pitches in terms of the strike zone.
Wow. I mean, it's all coming with 2 outs and nobody on.
Yep.
And the crowd is, I mean, they're standing, but they're afraid to clap. They
2-0 the count as Davis is sitting in the catbird seat. Rips it deep left. Back is Brantley. Makes the catch, and the game is over. The Indians hang on for dear life. And this one goes in the win column as the Tribe wins it by a final score of 4-2. And the Tribe moves to 48 and 44 on the year. The Blue Jays drop to 44 and 47. The win goes to Danny Salazar, who picks up the victory in his major league debut here this afternoon. A game he'll never forget, and perhaps one day we'll look back on it with fond memories as well, because this kid looks like he could be a future star in the making. Chris Perez, it was dicey, but gets his 11th save of the year. The loss goes to R.A. Dickey, who drops to 8-10 this year for Toronto. Time now for our key play of the game, brought to you by KeyBank.
Well, you go into that 6th inning, and they gave us the base runners and a couple of walks. A hit batter. Chisenhall gets enough of it with 2 strikes, bloops it over the infield. And then the overthrow by Davis. He drives in one. He gives up another. That's going to be our key play of the game. Proud to be the banking home of the Cleveland Indians.
All right, we'll have some final thoughts from Progressive Field as the Indians win it 4-2 right after this.